Yes, I think with the absence of Maïta Mayouf today, who's got the national record, 2:21.27, I think that it's going to be perhaps a little bit too much to ask of both Meritxell Soler and the other top Spanish athlete, Esther Navarrete.
And Nora Szabo was the other one that was always in these races, so they know each other very well from multiple half marathons in the summer. And Nora Szabo was very consistent, the Hungarian national record holder. So they've gone through in 17-16 through the first 5K split. See that they've got a pacer at the front of that group as well. So we're getting some great split screen shots from out on the course. The lead women on the left-hand side of the screen, world champion in there, Perez Chipchachir. So to go from that World Championship winning time, where times went out the window, it didn't matter about times that day, 2:24. But I think the fact that this lead group, they've been talking around that course record, that 2:14. Mariso knows she can run that, having done that previously here. But I know Joycelyn Chepkosgei would love to be in that. She once broke 4 world records in one race. I think it was back in 2017 in the half marathon, going through in 10K to 15, 20K and half marathon splits. So huge performer on her day as well. As we go back, and I'm looking out, I think maybe in that group as well, the second or third of the women's group, Kira D'Amato, I think, might be in that group, the former American record holder.
So there's Miguel Indurain,
yes,
one of the very well-known faces in Spanish sport, 5-time winner of the Tour de France. We often see him at the big city races here in Valencia and Sevilla. And on the left there, Esther Navarrete, I think we mentioned her a few moments ago, very similar best time to Meritxell Soler, 2:24.40. So she's both Navarrete and Soler are running in that same group, with Indurain on the bike doing the pacemaking.
I couldn't think of someone better to be on the bike, so his bike handling skills, and yeah, an absolute legend in these parts as well.
Yes, so Chepchirchir there on the left of the screen with her personal pacemaker just in front of her. Remember, Olympic champion in 2021 from the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and a 4-time world champion, 3-time half marathon world champion, 2016, 2020 and 2023, and this year won another big title when she had that great battle with Tigist Assefa. Just out-sprinted her in the final few meters of that race, and Gianni Di Madonna, her manager, was telling me earlier this week that her aim today is to go faster than she's ever run before. Her best time, 2:16.16 from London 18 months ago, and Perez aiming to go under 2:15 for the first time. I have to say, Gianni was a little bit concerned about Perez coming into this race so soon after Tokyo. I mean, in some ways 12 weeks is quite a good gap, but that race in Tokyo did take a lot out of her in the heat of a Japanese summer.
So just on before that, Solange Jesus was on the screen, the athlete from Portugal, and some athletes have gone from Valencia the next week to the European Cross Country Championships, and that's a hard ask in just a week, but there will be athletes going over the cross country distance in the European Championships next weekend. But it is all about the marathon distance today. And I tell you what, the 10K split is coming up as 29.17. Yes, so again, consistent split, but they have lost 21 seconds on course record pace. But it is still very early stages. The 3 paces with, I think it's, yes, 5 athletes almost in formation behind them. They look like they've all successfully got their drinks bottles. I say that, commentators curse there. The leading elites have them absolutely okay. It was the pacers that had to navigate. I think that was Ako Tanzania that just had to dodge back, and just need to be a little bit careful of that, because that can be off-putting can also, if there is a runner in their slipstream, we've seen it before, haven't we? Someone hesitate at a drink station, and then people go down and fall to the asphalt. Is not what you want at any point other than just past the finishing line of the marathon.
Yeah, I guess when Lemmer ran that course record 2 years ago, he ran very fast, 2:01.48, but he went through the halfway in 60.48. So the fact that today they seem to be a little bit down, or a little bit behind Cecil Lemmer's pace from his course record, I don't think we need to be too concerned about that, because Lemmer did not run a negative split that day.
Yeah, it was quick, wasn't it, Richard?
Yeah.
And they slightly paid for it. Trying to work out who's already stepping off there.
I think that could be Navales, Tariku Navales.
Yes.
The leading Spanish athlete.
Oh, that's tough, isn't it, Richard? 31 minutes on the race clock already, trying to stretch out a hamstring. Sifan Hassan's done that and bounced back, but I fear this could be maybe end of the road in terms of chasing fast times. Navales, I think he's a 2:05, obviously, national record holder, and he will not, I was going to say, will not want to not show his full potential today. And again, trying to work out whether that's his glute or his hamstring. It looks like he's got tape on there. He has got tape, Richard, so potentially coming in here with an issue already.
And just over the 10-kilometre distance, that's going to be a very difficult point for Tariku to decide whether he can continue. He's still going to give it a go, but obviously dropping off very dramatically from the group that he was with. So let's see if we can just identify right at the front of the race. We've got John Correa, who's been there right behind those three pacemakers. Navales, I think, has finally called it a day.
Yeah, he's got to accept that. That's tough, and dust himself off, get fit and healthy, and then come back in 2026. And you know, there's so many big marathons again in the new year, whether that is Seville, whether that is Barcelona, if he is staying in Spain. He keeps trying to get back on and trying to get back involved, but given that he's limping, given the pain, but back to the split screen of the elite women on the right and elite men on the left. But it's now the elite women that have navigated their next drink station. There's their 10K split, 3 seconds inside, 32 minutes exactly. So metronomic pacing by the pacers up front.
Well, what's interesting there, this is the front of the women's race, is that the two Kenyans, who I guess we'd have to say are the top two in this race, Perez Chepchirchir and Jocelyn Chepkosgei, they appear now to be clear of the leading Ethiopian, unless we can't actually see Amani Bariso, but Perez is right on the shoulder of her pacemaker, that's 3:42. And meanwhile, on the right of the screen there, in number 203, that's Jocelyn Chepkosgei. She has got her pacemaker, Julius. He's number 330. So they appear to be now the top two in the women's race, and they have actually got some way clear of that very, very big group of athletes that they were running with. And the women, they've already gone through 10K. This is actually one of the quieter parts of the course. They've gone through 10K. They're heading out into the northern district of Valencia, and then they'll do a loop back down past the Valencia FC stadium.
Well, that split for 10K gives them a projected time of 2 hours, 14 minutes and 57 seconds. So that would be 1 second inside the course record, Bariso's course record from a couple of years ago. So the pace has done a great job in the very early stages. And going to the second group in the men, they were 29.37. So they're operating at around 2:04.45 pace. So the different groups are navigating the early stages well. Bariso I can't see in this lead group, so it is the two Kenyans, Chepchirchir and Chepkosgei, shoulder to shoulder, but I can't see Bariso in that lead group. So going back to the panning out shot, because there are so many, obviously, high standing club athletes around them as well. And on the split, she was 16 seconds at 10K behind. So 32.16. So her second 5K split for Bariso did pick up. She ran 16 minutes exactly, but has given the best part of 16 seconds up to the leading duo. As we look back on the right-hand side, the elite men, it's still that strong group of 5. Cisalema there, nearest us on the screen. John Correa, who has been the aggressor from the very early stages. Cisalema, as you say, is coming up almost to hitting around 30 top high-class marathons. And he's been on so many podiums, he's been so competitive. He's so experienced in comparison to those around him that haven't done as many marathons. But last year, 12 months ago, Sebastian Sarway was an impressive winner here. Cisalema the year before in that course record. And then the late, great Kelvin Kipton in 2022. Oh, as he missed the world record holder from that fabulous run in Chicago. Well, sorely missed in the world of running, him and his fantastic coach. I'm sure the athletes will always pay tribute to the trailblazing running that Kelvin Kipton laid out in front of them. And again, a great side-on shot. We're getting some lovely visuals from out on the course as the chasing group, or chasing athlete of this leading group. That's I think we're in 19, yes it is. I think that's maybe just dropping off that second group. Belgium Mataru, I think that's national record. I think that maybe even potentially the 4th group. Rwandan athlete there, who's just 4 seconds outside the national record pace at the moment. So I think that's just over 2:06 or 2:06.54 is the national record, Richard.
2:06.54, and I'm interested in that group because I think he might be just behind that group with Phil Sessamon and Alex Yee, because that 3rd group, if that is the 3rd group, they're targeting a time of around 63:15 at halfway. We'll see if we can pick up that 3rd group at some point, but right at the front of the race, we can see how fast they're going, these 5 athletes. John Correa of Kenya, Sisai Lema of Ethiopia, Hilary Kipkoech of Kenya. He's in the white vest just behind John Correa. And then the 2 athletes at the back, the Kenyan in the pink vest is Justus Kangogo, and right at the back, the debutant, Demetru Dida.
So just getting some splits in that elite women's race further down the field. I think currently around just about top 10 or there or thereabouts. Emma Bates has gone through 10 kilometers in 34 minutes 10, identical splits, 17:05, and for the first 2 5K splits, and that's operating just inside 2:24 pace. So there or thereabouts her own PB pace. And as you said, Richard, interesting fact there, this is her first marathon outside of US soil. She'll be looking to improve her own lifetime best, but Emily Sisson's national record from Chicago in 2022, 2:18. Looks like it's not going to maybe be threatened today. As again, a split screen gives us the chasers on the right-hand side, the leading men on the left, and you can hear some great cheers. There's so many people out on the course. Again, that's something I've seen grow over the last few years, is the spectators. And again, it's a lot of people travelling out with their loved ones. Lots of friends and family make a real weekend of it here, Richard.
And this is Emile Caresse, as we thought, leading that 3rd group. Emile doing pacemaking duties today, hoping to go at least to 30K. Speaking with Andrew Henderson, who's out here coaching Phil Sessamon. Emile is hoping to help his training partner, Phil Sessamon, to a new PB today. There's one of the leading Algerian athletes, and he's well under the national record. National record is 2:09.54, and Charik
well, given their history of superb middle distance and also long distance running, you would think that national record is on borrowed time by someone, but Phil Sesman, that 2:07 in Amsterdam, again, it's going to be about powers of recovery. Himself, Emil, but also Alex Yee, the Olympic triathlon champion, have been linking in for multiple sessions, and it's going to be fascinating to see how Phil Sesman does again off another big block of training. Emil Caress, we can't wait to see what he does in his next marathon, the Olympic fourth placer for Paris. Didn't have the year last year that he would have wanted. He was obviously trying to build on that, such a superb year previous to that. But he looks like he's back healthy, looks full of running today as a pacemaker. But going back to Alex Yee, what has the potential? He ran 2:11 in London. His watch has been telling him he can run 2:05, but how much do you believe the science of watches, Richard?
Well, what I do believe is that he's come into this race full of confidence. I think he's had a very, very good training block, and yes, I mean, obviously he's actually posted online that his watch is predicting him to go under 2:06, which would be absolutely phenomenal. We're just going back to the two Australians, Jess Stenson.
Well, they're right on that national pace, aren't they, to the absolute second through 10 kilometres.
33, yeah. Izzy Batdoyle's had a very, very good year already, run PBs at half marathon, and then over the summer, Bislett ran a PB for 10,000 metres. And today, hoping to run a PB, a third PB of the year over the marathon distance. And here are leading women, the two Kenyans, Chepchirchir and Chepkoskei. They have raced each other so many times. They know each other so well.
I was going to say they're good friends off the track on the road as well, and they've got such decorated careers. If you were going to call it right now, Richard, after 42 minutes of running, would you think it's going to go to the way of the world champion?
I just never write off Peres Chepchirchir. She is so tough. We saw that in Tokyo. I mean, when she came into the stadium with Tigist Assefa, and it was just going to be so close. And I think in the end, it was the one, Peres Chepchirchir, who really wanted it most and just got the better of Tigist Assefa, who had won in London. In fact, Assefa had taken Chepchirchir's London title this year, and also had taken the women's only course record from Chepchirchir when she won in London in April, and then Chepchirchir got the better of her in Tokyo in the World Championship race. But yeah, very hard to separate them, and physically they are running alongside each other today. There's the Finnish athlete, Elisa Vainio.
Vainio looks very good at the moment,
yep.
And look at that, 33.39, so 16 seconds inside her national record pace in the early stages. As I said, just 3 weeks between that superb World Championship top 5 finish and her own national record, which was fairly solo. Salpeta next to her, again a very decorated Israeli athlete running in the NN colours, someone that's been on the podium at so many of the majors, and a European champion over 10,000 metres on the track in Berlin. I think that was at 2018. So again, a very consistent athlete for Vainio to be next to.
Yeah, and that's a very big group. I mean, they're targeting a time of around 2:22, 2:23, and not surprisingly, most of the other athletes in that group are men. We talked about the depth in this race, right through down to 3 hours. But we're back at the front of the race. The leading men have gone through 15K. As we said, they were down on the course record pace set by Lemmer 2 years ago at 10K, and they've dropped further back, going through 15K in 43.50, 40 seconds behind that very, very fast pace that Lemmer set here 2 years ago. But I think what's important is that they've still got their two pacemakers. So 2 of the 3 pacemakers are still in the race, but they are, interestingly, 5 or so meters back from the pacemakers, which will mean that the pacemakers won't be pushing it more than they have to at this point.
Yeah, interesting that we are down to just 2 paces before the halfway mark. 45 minutes of running. The projected time coming out at 2:03.16, so that halfway split somewhere in the 63:30 range. So not quite as fast as the organisers would have wanted, but well, does set it up for a rapid second half potentially. As you can see, the chase group in the elite women, they're almost swamped, surrounded by such depth of men.
So that's another athlete who's chasing a national record, the athlete from Mauritius, Marie Perrier. She ran her best time here, 2:26.19, and we keep talking about national records, but the organisers themselves, they put a lot of premium on the number of national records that are set here in Valencia, and today they've actually penciled a possibility of 26 national records.
Wow.
The most ever national records that have been set here were 2 years ago in the lead up to the Paris Olympics, when 20 national records were set. Well, whether they can beat that record remains to be seen. But
it's hard keeping up with them, Richard, isn't it?
Yes,
how quickly and they
we're doing our best.
Phenomenally
Yeah.
get broken here in Valencia year on year. And again, we'll keep getting those live splits to give us an update. Those key athletes inside their own national record figures for some of them, and others chasing record figures that they would love to have as part of their CVs. But also, they would love to have part of their CVs winning the Valencia Marathon Trinidad Alfonso Zurich 2025. The man to your right there has done it previously, the course record holder. And I think probably, given these first 15 kilometres, knows his course record is safe.
Yeah, it's good that the 5 of them are together, because obviously at some point over the next 10-15 kilometres the pacers will drop out, and then it'll be down to these 5 athletes and any who can try and catch them up to battle it out over the final part of the race. This is the second group that we were watching earlier. Very, very big group.
What is interesting, Richard, they're only 40 seconds behind. There's not a huge differential between the front group and this chase group. And I tell you what, safety in numbers potentially, because that is a very healthy chase group.
About 15 athletes, and they're 3 pacemakers right at the front doing a very, very good job. Remember, they've been asked to take that group through at around 62:15.
Mossin is in that group as well, so he's one we were looking out to making his debut and maybe deciding to play it safe rather than to go with that lead group. And just going down the list as well, Emil Carres leading that third group, and they're on 2:07.03 pace. They went through in 45:15, so almost metronomic splits from Emil Carres with that group. And I was looking out for Jack Rowe in that group as well, trying to bounce back from disappointment in London to hopefully today finish his first marathon. But they've been in that third group 15:03, and then they were 15:03 and then 15:05 for the third 5-kilometre split. But this is the second group, and they're operating at 2 hours, 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So that would be a handful of national records in there for the likes of Cripper, for Italy, Pedros for Germany, but he's obviously got his compatriot in there as well. Give up there, the Norwegian half-marathon athlete with 60:46, and he looks good in the early stages as well. And is it Moen's national record for Norway that maybe could be potentially under threat?
Yeah, it's a very, very big group, isn't it, there with Cripper, the 2 Germans, Fitwi and Petros. And we're back now right at the front of the women's race, where the 2 leading women are surrounded, or have got plenty of male company. But each of these athletes with their own personal pacemaker. Chipchirchir on the heels of the yellow-vested athlete, pacemaker 3:42, and
wow,
Chip
if that
Koskei.
is correct, they've just dropped a 15:30 5K split If my maths are doing me right there, Richard, look at that. They've gone from being 3 seconds inside course record pace to 33 seconds. So that is some running. 47.30, 15 kilometers. 15.30 on the road is, well, fast running for just a 5K on its own. Is inside 5-minute miling. So, wow, they have really dropped the hammer down very early on, and well, they do look really good, but it's very early stages still.
Yeah, and of course they're trying to improve Amina Barisso's course record from 3 years ago, and she ran very fast 3 years ago. She went through halfway in 67.18, so that wasn't a negative split for her when she broke the course record here. So
projected time now, Richard's coming out at 2:13, so a big drop. So it's going to be interesting to see their next 5K split, and also what they end up putting down as a halfway, because if they continue running 5-minute miling, then they could obliterate the course record.
Yeah, and we've talked about the goals of the race organisers today to set the fastest time for the marathon in 2025. That was, so far, that stands to the Ethiopian Howie Facer, ran that very impressive 2:14.57 in Chicago 8 weeks ago.
That is under threat, seriously under threat. The gap back to Barisso now has gone to 96 seconds. So, wow, that has really changed the dynamics. It is currently a 2-horse race in the elite women's race here at the 2025 Valencia Marathon, Trinidad Alfonso, Zurich. And we are heading at the moment 15 kilometers in to the fastest time by a woman in 2025.
Yeah, I guess the difference between these two athletes that we're watching, Chepkoskai and Chepchirchir, is that Perez Chepchirchir is coming off the back of that World Championship win just 12 weeks ago, whereas Chepkoskai's last marathon was in London the best part of 8 months ago. So she's coming in a little bit fresher. She did a tune-up race in Romania and Brasov in October, but that was just over 10 kilometers. So obviously Chepkoskai has been targeting this race for a little bit longer. I think Chepchirchir, the reigning world champion, probably decided at some point after her win in Tokyo that her 2025 season wasn't done, and has decided to come here for her second and final marathon of the year. But interestingly, in the men's race, Gemechu Dida, he is the debutant, and he's gone with the leaders. We've talked about the success of debutants in this race in previous years, most notably when Kiptum made that remarkable breakthrough 3 years ago to really announce himself when he ran 2:01.53 and beat the then reigning world champion Tamrat Tola. Well, today it's Gemechu Dida from Tamrat Tola's training group who is starting to impress, certainly over the first half of the race. That's the Uzbek athlete who is the reigning national record holder. He ran 2:07.02 here in Valencia, and he's trying to improve on that time. One of the possible national records under threat today. So I think the British athlete Wayne, is that Wayne Gebrselassie, James? I think we can see.
Yeah, I'm just going down the list to see which group he's in, and he's in the Emil Caress group. So he's in that 2:07 group, the likes of Brett Robinson in there, the Australian, who's always a superb performer. Carlos Mayo, who's in there as well. So Mayo's like a very consistent runner that, again, would love to get towards that Spanish record. Shakir's in there as well, the second of the Spanish athletes. And I think Jakob Simonsen, the Danish athlete, is always in that group as well. So there's a big group of that chase group, I think, operating around that, or that third group, the low 2:07 mark. Yeah, we'll try and get splits and updates of that. And yeah, I think they're still going at that 2:07 low pace. And again, real strength in numbers. I think Alex Yee is also in that group, and projected at the moment 2:07.06 as well.
Yeah, if you're a triathlete watching this race, I'm sure you'll be wanting to follow Alex Yee, an amazing athlete and obviously reigning Olympic triathlon champion. I think hoping to defend that Olympic triathlon title in LA in 3 years' time. But this year, he's been focusing on the marathon. Probably slightly disappointed with his debut marathon in London.
I think he wanted more. I think he found it tough, didn't he, Richard? And how much will he have learned from that first marathon?
You learn so much, don't you? I mean, I think he'll have learned a lot, both from his training and also specifically from that race. And will have come into this race, I think, probably with a lot more confidence, just having experienced the pain and the toughness of the marathon in London.
And on the screen, we've got some good examples. You've got Cecil Lemmer, the course record holder, who's run so many marathons. And Dida on the left-hand side of the screen making his debut. But as you said, he comes from a very established stable and coach of very good marathon runners. So that has to give athletes confidence when they come from groups that just routinely churn out fantastic marathon runners. So almost on a weekly, monthly kind of figure. But there's back to that chase group. And again, we've got some debutants in there. Mossin, you can see in the middle of that group, and Cripper, who's not a debutant, but very experienced athlete. Lovely mover, if you look at him on the right-hand side of the screen there. And our two pacers in this chase group, still doing a great job of that under 2:05 pace.
Yeah, I think both the debutants that we're talking up today, Patrick Mossin in that second group on the right of the screen, and then on the left of the screen, Gemechu Dida, they come from very well-established groups with some of the best coaching experience in the world. In Ethiopia, Gemedu Dedefa, who coaches Sisai Lema, Tamarat Tola, Lemi Bahanu, and now his latest charge at the marathon is Gemechu Dida. And on the Kenyan side, Patrick Mosin, a very strong group coached by Peter B, the husband of Beatrice Chebet. And in that group, they've got very, very strong athletes. The winner of the Amsterdam Marathon, Jeffrey Kipchumba, and the third-placed athlete from the Tokyo Marathon, Vincent Ngaichich. So these athletes are surrounded by experience in their training groups, and today they're also surrounded by a lot of experience in the thick of competition. But Sisai Lema is the one now who's at the front of this group of five, and John Correa, for the first time today, has slipped to the back of that group. I don't know whether that signals anything. Actually doesn't look quite as comfortable as he did a few moments earlier.
He doesn't, whether it's just a slight kind of feel of the right hamstring, whether it was just a scratch. But hand back down the field, Richard.
I think that's one of the other Spanish athletes, best time of 2:11.11. There were quite a few good Spanish male athletes today. We've mentioned Carlos Mayo. There's also Daniel Mateo with the best time of 2:08.22, Ibrahim Chikir, and that's another of the athletes. George Blanco is also in the race. So there's about 5 or 6. There's Carlos Mayo, I think, just in that group with Emil Carres on the left of the screen. And there's Phil Sesseman, the first view of Phil Sesseman. Let's see if we can pick out Alex Yee.
There's Alex Yee in the black singlet in the middle of that group. Simonson just behind him, the Danish athlete. So they're in that group, tucked in. It's almost like a training run, Richard.
2:06. Well, I mean, it's a good point because they have all been training together. Emil, Phil and Alex. I know Alex, although he lives in Loughborough, he's been up training quite regularly with Phil Sesseman in Leeds under the watchful eye of Andy Henderson, and Emil has also been training with them in this particular block. Emil choosing not to do a marathon at the end of the year. I think he's going to be back here in January for the big 10K. One of the things we haven't yet mentioned about Valencia, the city of running, it is the only city in the world with 4 World Athletic Label races, and the 10K is one of those races. Today's marathon is another, and they also have, well, James, you mentioned it, the big half marathon here, which happened 6 weeks ago, as well as the 15K. So Valencia very deservedly owning the title City of Running, but it's not just because of its big races. I think it's just a runner-centred place right through from the masses up to the elite. We mentioned this great park, the Jardin del Turia, which is one of the most used running circuits in the whole of Spain. We enjoyed a run there yesterday, but I know a number of athlete managers have their satellite offices here. They choose to come here on training camps, and that's partly because of the climate all year round. So I think very deservedly owning the title City of Running. It always amuses me when you go onto the Valencia Marathon website that you actually see ciudadelrunning.com. So they're not ashamed to call themselves the world's City of Running.
And there are people out running all the time. You're right, the loop in the city centre, the Turo Gardens, the Turo River, that flooded the city in 1957, and they decided to drain it, and it now creates a superb bit of running trail. And there's the athletics track down there as well. There's football pitches, but it's well lit. And even when we were out getting a few kilometres in late, there were runners that I think were maybe not necessarily getting ready for the marathon, but just getting ready maybe to be a spectator the next day. But given the climate and given, as you said, those superb label events that many athletes, well, they have them as stable diets in their race calendar. And we look out for those results eagerly for, as we said, chasing national records, whether it's the 10K, the half marathon or the marathon distance. This is, well, so high on everyone's list. And again, a great aerial shot there. The temperature is rising just gradually here, but I tell you what, where we sit here by the hemispheric, the wind that was potentially projected in the week, Richard, doesn't look like it's anywhere near as bad. It looks like it's actually fairly gentle as a breeze out there. And the course was designed, wasn't it? So the last few kilometres, actually you almost get a bit of a kick back on that as the splits come up on the screen there. Half marathon is 61:46, so as anticipated, about a minute off last year's time, so 1 minute and 11 seconds. So at the moment, giving us a projected time just outside 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Yes, I mean, they're going to have to come home very, very quickly to improve on the fastest time in the world. Sawi's 2:02.16. They're going to have to come home in around 60:30, having gone through the first half in 61:46. But the good thing for them is that there's 5 athletes still there following the 2 pacemakers. So still possible, but they're going to have to run very, very fast. But they're great shots of those leading 5 athletes with the pacemakers as they go past probably I would guess that's the 3rd or 4th wave of runners that have started from the City of Arts and Sciences where we are. A great shot there as they head down this big avenue down towards the Jardin del Turia. They've gone through halfway and they're heading down now west, down to the old part of the town. Having done their first circuit in the eastern part, they go out west, go through the old part of the city to the westernmost part, out to the biopark, and then they'll loop back round, back to the old park, and then back into the City of Arts and Sciences over the next hour.
And yes, as you said, Richard, a great shot of the masses on the right-hand side of the screen, the elites doubling back on the left-hand side. But just so many places to eat, to drink, to venture out. Wonderful city that has so much culture and history, but also is, as we sit here with the superb backdrop, has some real technology and developing areas as well.
So that's that second group that we've talked about with Emmanuel Petros and Samuel Fitwi and Yamani Kripa. We've just seen them go through with the leading Japanese athlete, Suguru Osaka. We'll see if we can...
Their halfway splits come at 62:40, so they have dropped slightly off the pace that they wanted. Many of those athletes wanted inside 2 hours and 5, but again, when we had the last view of that group, it was still very healthy in numbers. We'll look for an update of the elite women through halfway as well, as They can't be too far off as this. They've got to do 20 kilometres, and look at that, another chunk of time's been taken off that course record time. So going through in 63.50. Oh, sorry, 63.06 against the 63.50 course record pace.
Yeah, and remember, Amani Bariso, she went through in 67.18, so those are the comparisons that we're getting, and they're now almost 45 seconds up on Bariso's pace from 3 years ago. So it's going to be very, very interesting. They're going to go through, I would guess they're going to go through halfway in around 66 and bits.
Yeah, it could be 66.30 there or thereabouts, which projected time would be the low 2:13s. So this is impressive running in the elite women's race. Peres Cipcic and Joycelyn Chepkosgei are the leading pair that have now taken significant amounts of time away from the chasers behind. And given the standard of runners around them, there are some superb runners, and there is confirmation of that. 1 minute and 46 back to third, and Bariso, the course record holder, 2 minutes and 25 seconds down.
Well, the third placed Ethiopian, Fiketa Wereta, having a good race. Her best time, 2:21.32, so...
Yeah, from Dubai, she's way inside that at the moment as well.
And her manager, Marianne van der Veen, she was telling me earlier in the week that she's targeting a time of around 2:17, 2:18, so I think she's on target for that. But remember, her best time, 2:21, so she's looking for a big improvement, but certainly going well as they approach half distance. And these are the two top female athletes, Chepkosgei on the right and Chepchirchir in the purple on the left.
It looks like D'Amato and Emma Bates are locked in, a 2:24 low battle at the moment. So they're in a fairly healthy group. I think Lily Partridge is there as well, Natasha Wilson. And there's a big, strong contingent. Schola's in there as well for the Spanish contingent. So they're 2:24 pace. So some of those athletes, the Europeans, will have an eye on that European athletics time of 2:27, and others laying down some fast times to finish this year.
British athlete Luke Caldwell, I think that must have been the fourth group on the road, if not the fifth group, because I think the fourth group might have been targeting around 2:08.
Yeah, I think he's in with the elite women there potentially. They're maybe joining that very last group.
So halfway for Chepchirchir and Chepkosgei, 66.34. Well, if they can maintain that pace, that's going to bring them home in just outside 2:13, which is incredibly fast running. Remember the course record from 3 years ago, 2:14.58, so they're well up on that. And the two of them not only will be fighting it out against each other, but they've still got each of their pacemakers there. Julius Brambok is in the white vest just in front of Joycelyn Chepkosgei, right on the left of the screen, and then in the yellowy green vest is Chepchirchir's own pacemaker. So they've got a good opportunity to run faster than they've ever done before. Both athletes have best times 2:16, both set in London. Peres ran 2:16.16 in 2024 when she won in London 18 months ago, and in that same race Chepkosgei ran her best time when she finished third, just behind Tigist Assefa in her PB 2:16.24, but on target today to run quite a lot faster. And this is the leading group.
Is this the first of her moves by Dina there that's almost gone down to the back of the pacemakers? This is his debut, so this is the point in a debut where sometimes you've got to kind of hold on to your emotions and take a step back and just think, okay, if I'm feeling good, I'm in the sight unknown now. So I wonder whether this is maybe over-enthusiasm.
Yeah, well, I mean, guess we remember back to 12 months ago when Sarway was here running his debut, and just think of how sensible, how clever he was at this point of the race, when the race did break up at around that 25 to 30k point, when Deresa Geleta really ran a very fast 5k, and then Sarway came from behind to win the race, and to win very, very impressively. Gemechu Dida perhaps being a little bit aggressive for his first marathon. 4 very experienced marathon runners behind him. Kangogo running faster than he's ever run before. He's got a best time of 2:05.57. He's the second place athlete running alongside compatriot John Career.
Again, it just gives you some appreciation of the speed they're travelling at. And the fact that miling-wise, they're around about 4 minutes and 42 seconds per mile. So that's way inside 3 minutes per kilometre. The pacemakers at the front still doing a really good job. We had 3 early on, but down to 2. And they will definitely be looking to get to that 25 kilometres. That will give them probably most of their pay package as a pacer, and then also it'll be written into their contract if they go another 5 kilometres, then they get X amount. So it's a real job and a real bit of skill being a pacemaker, and very sought after, just given the quality that these athletes are asking for. And I'm sure the athletes that are on the screen in front of us would rather the pacers went just a tad slower in the early stages, but went further, because well, the damage can be done if they go too fast early on and then drop out too soon. So Dida there, confirmation of that that lifetime best over half marathon, 58 minutes and 39, and I've been so impressed with him in terms of just how he looks, but just how he's operating. But I'm sure his coaching staff know exactly the shape he's in. He's a wonderful mover, isn't he, Richard? The Ethiopians work so hard on their form, and the amount of drills and technique work that they put into their training.
Yeah, Gemechu Dida, I'm proud to say, won the Great Ethiopian Run International 10K 4 years ago, so certainly been on my radar for quite a few years, but this is his first time at the marathon. This is the third group on the road. Emile Keres right at the front of this group, and Phil Sessamon in there, Alex Yee. There he is, number 65, right on the heels of Phil Sessamon. So a very strong group. Carlos Mayo just in front of Phil Sessamon. So looks as though it's all going to plan for this third group. We're expecting Emile to stay in the race at least until 30k. And one of the top Spanish athletes, Ibrahim Shakir, right at the back of that group. But Phil Sessamon, well, what a autumn he's had. Went to Amsterdam 7 weeks ago and improved his lifetime best for the marathon by 46 seconds. Went under 2:08 for the first time, ran 2:07.18. That was just 7 weeks ago, and this is a bit of an experiment for Phil and his coach Andy Henderson to attempt 2 big marathons in the space of 7 weeks. Alex Yee, personal best, as we mentioned, from his debut in London earlier this year. Well, Alex has had a good block of training, looking very, very relaxed at the moment.
And both of them have been very open about their training. That's the new age that we live in. You were saying last night on our run, Richard, that back in the day you didn't know what people were doing other than turning up to races and running hard. Now everything's documented, whether that's on different platforms, whether that's on social media, and athletes are, you know, very honest about their training, and we've had a great insight into the likes of Alex Yee's build-up and his potential. But it's going to be fascinating to see how it does pan out in the second half of the race, as it will be now. The front end, the elite men, and there you can see the 25-kilometer split. It's 1 hour, 11 minutes and 52 seconds, so 1:25. Career now. Is this again a decisive moment in the race, Richard? Maybe he's opened up 10 meters on the chase group. Went for maybe a period where he didn't look quite as good as he did in early stages, but maybe he was just calling everyone's bluff. Look at him go now.
Yeah, it is interesting. The pacemakers have dropped out, or appear to have dropped out. They're certainly not on our screen anymore. So that's the assumption we're making. And I think John Career is now in the position he loves being in. He's had plenty of experience of this in big city races, particularly in Boston and Chicago in recent years. And Career opening up a few meters, only a few meters, but I think this is where he likes to be. And just having a glance back, but that is a good 10 meters at the moment.
Sorry, just confirmation of that 25-kilometer split, 73 minutes and 17 seconds. Was the course record pace that was 71 minutes and 52 seconds, but it's not about course record pace today. I think John Careers is looking to bounce back from that slight Chicago disappointment. And he's such a great runner on his day, and right now it looks like he's back to the form that we've seen previously. Lifetime best of 2:02. And he's still got a chance of chasing that down with a strong second half. And look at that, the group behind now, the paces have gone. This is about racing head-to-head now.
Yeah, you mentioned his PB from Chicago 14 months ago when he ran that very fast time, 2:02.44. Just 8 weeks ago when he ran in Chicago, it was a very, very different race to today. They went through in a very fast, I think it was around 60-16 at halfway. And I think a lot of people said it was a bit too reckless, the pacing in that first half of the race. Today, it's been a lot more measured, and now explains why the athletes, if anything, can accelerate off that halfway time, 61.46. And it is Career who has opened up 20 or 30 meters. It's going to be interesting to see how the others respond. It is Gemechu Dida, the Ethiopian, who is leading the chase in that group of four. Gemechu Dida, Hillary Kipkoech, Justus Kangogo, and Cecil Emma just trying to hang on.
Well, Justus Kangogo hasn't really done too much. He's kind of been hiding a bit, Richard, isn't he? So again, in terms of someone keeping their cards close to their chest, he's literally just been sat in that group, almost just taking a ride from the athletes in front of him. But it is John Career who is, well, decided that he wants to make an honest race of this. The pace was slipping again. It's now more towards the 2:04 now than the 2:03. And maybe Cecil Emma is the athlete that is struggling to go with the three chasers.
So the athletes just through 25k, and this is the section that they run alongside the part of the town called El Rio, where the river Turia used to be before it was moved out of the city in the 1960s because of the big flood that happened in Valencia in 1957. You can see on the left of the screen is the park where thousands of runners run every day on the circuit, which goes through the Jardin del Turia. There's a close-up of Cecil Lemma, and it looks as though he might be struggling a little bit. The pace has definitely picked up. This is Career at the front of the race. They've
such a difference, Richard, in cadence between Cecil Emma there and John Career on the screen in front of us right now.
Yeah, and you can see two things very noticeable now is that the crowds have picked up, but also the sun is a little bit stronger than it was an hour ago. And this is one of the things that the runners and organisers were a little bit concerned about. They said that the temperatures were a little bit on the high side if you're really talking about perfect marathon conditions. I think the temperature started when the race started an hour or so ago. It was about 14 degrees Celsius, that's around 60 Fahrenheit. And Lemma definitely starting to struggle. He's now 30 or 40 meters back from that main chasing group of three athletes.
Yeah, it's saying about 16 degrees now, Richard, and I think from the study they said anything about 9 degrees is probably optimal marathon conditions. So it is warming up, and it is going to warm up, I think, over the next couple of hours for the masses as well. So hydrating, getting refueled. But the elites in front of us, they know they've just got probably around about 44 or 43 minutes left of running, so they will finish before the temperature does rise. But In terms of temperature on the race circuit right now, it's risen in the form of John Correa. You can see people on bikes slightly struggling to keep up with his pace. As we go back to the elite women, you can see that split has dropped off just slightly in terms of they've lost a little bit of time, but they're still way inside. 39 seconds inside Richard, 1:18.58 at 25 kilometers.
Yeah, they've both got their pacemakers there, and they've also both got company from 4 or 5 male runners who are also on for a very good time. If they can stay with our leading 2 women, they'll be coming home around that 2:13, 2:14 time. There's about 5 or 6 male athletes behind Chepchirchir and Chepkoskay, who are each following on the heels of their own personal pacemakers. But the 2 leading athletes in the women's race well clear. And meanwhile, Correa, he's crossed over the Jardin del Turia, and he's now actually coming back. In a few minutes' time, they'll pass by the famous Torres de Serrano, the famous tower built at the end of the 14th century, and you can see that they're now in the shade. Now, this is the second group that we mentioned weren't that far behind the leaders at halfway. There's Tesfaye Deriba, the Ethiopian, running just his 4th marathon here. But interestingly, Emmanuel Petros, the silver medalist from the World Championship Marathon in Tokyo 12 weeks ago.
He thought he had gold that day, didn't he, Richard, in that home straight, looking over his shoulder and getting caught on the line. I'm sure he would have been delighted with the silver medal, but to get that close, and I'm sure part of that redemption today would be taking that national record. But the national record holder is in that group right now as well, isn't he?
Samuel Fitwi. 8 athletes. So that second group that were aiming to go through halfway around 62, 62.15 has definitely thinned out. Yamani Crippa, he is still under the course record pace set by his compatriot Johannes Cipanelli here in Valencia 12 months ago. Remember, Crippa's best time 2:06.06 set in Seville at the start of 2024 Olympic year, and Crippa operating at a faster pace today. There's the leading Japanese athlete, Suguru Osaka, just outside the national record pace of Kengo Suzuki, 2:04.56. So that gives us an idea that they're really very, very close to the 2:04.50 German record. That's the famous Torres de Serrano.
It was lit up last night, Richard, wasn't it? There's some wonderful Christmas decorations. So again, if you are looking to come out this time of year, so the whole of the main square was shut off to traffic last night, and there is the wonderful structure, Torres de Serranos, and just so many wonderful landmarks in this beautiful city. And today it hosts the marathon, and it's been a marathon buzz over the last few days here, and it brings in such great support to the local economy. And, the amount of people that are travelling far and wide to be here. When you look down at the nationalities, so I think it's over 5,000 French athletes or runners get themselves over here. Almost 4,000 Brits, Richard, each year as well. And
yeah, the organisers were saying that next year, for both the half marathon and the marathon, they're going to bring in a lottery system for the first time in the race's history. Remember, this race has been going for 45 years, started in 1981, but it's really only in the last 10 years that it has grown and grown, both at the front end in terms of the fast times, but also in terms of the popularity.
And a lot of that, Richard, isn't it? It's down to the Trinidad Alfonso Foundation and the support and the work that's gone into that.